have our first speaker. It is going to be Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda, who's being represented by Councillor Tabane Nyawose. Is he here? Spoke to me earlier. Okay. We'll move on to the next speaker. The next speaker is Ms. Namonde Shezi. Ms. Namonde Shezi is the Managing Director for Human Insight Africa, Pty Ltd, and she's going to enlighten us on the history of the formation of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. Ms. Namonde.
Sanbonan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege to greet you all on this historical day. I've been given the task to speak very briefly about the history and the formation of the BRICS WBA. Today, we reflect upon the remarkable journey that has led us to the formation of the BRICS Women Business Alliance, a journey that has been fueled by collective determination and visionary declarations. The BRICS nations have long acknowledged the pivotal role of women in steering inclusive development and propelling economic advancements. The transformative declarations adopted at the BRICS summits have ignited the evolution of the Women's Business Alliance, a beacon of collaboration among our nations to harness the full potential women entrepreneurs, catalyzing economic transformation and forging a brighter path for all. The 10th BRICS Summit in Johannesburg Declaration initiated the developmental framework that paved the way for the establishment of the BRICS Women's Forum and the subsequent BRICS Women's Business Alliance. This pivotal declaration underscored the crucial role of women in inclusive development and laid the groundwork for deeper exchanges regarding gender equality, women's rights, youth development, employment, urbanization, migration, and aging. With the 11th BRICS Summit Brasilia Declaration, the momentum gathered force. The endorsement of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance marked a significant stride towards elevating women as catalysts for economic growth and empowerment. This declaration urged the alliance to collaborate closely with the BRICS Business Council, effectively embedding gender equality and inclusivity within our economic endeavors. The 12th BRICS Summit Moscow Declaration etched a historic milestone, firmly establishing the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. This declaration declared and celebrated a moment of profound significance in advancing women's economic empowerment across our nations. The Alliance, as a dynamic platform, stands committed to fostering the active participation of women as key drivers of economic growth within the BRICS framework, embarking on a journey to propel gender equality and unlock women's potential in shaping the prosperity and development of our economies. The journey continued with the 13th BRICS Summit New Delhi Declaration, acknowledging the relentless efforts of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance in strengthening business ties and bolstering trade and investment relations among our member nations. Through initiatives like the BRICS Virtual Exposition for Women-Led Businesses and insightful knowledge papers, the Alliance has carved a path towards greater inclusivity and collaboration. The 4th BRICS The 14th BRICS Summit Beijing Declaration resonated with praise for the substantial contributions of the BRICS Women's Business Alliance in deepening economic and trade cooperation within our union. Empowering women's innovation and entrepreneurship remained at the heart of the alliance's endeavors, further illuminating the transformative power of our collective efforts. At the 15th BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, it's been a long road, ladies and gentlemen, our leaders emphasized the paramount significance of women's economic empowerment and gender equality. This was solidified by the adoption of the BRICS Women's Development eThekwini Declaration, reaffirming our unwavering commitment to fostering an enabling environment for women's active participation in the economy and entrepreneurial pursuits. Our pledge to implement policies and initiatives enhancing women's access to vital resources stands as a testament to our dedication. Today, we stand witness to the inaugural BRICS Women's Development eThekwini Declaration, a crowning achievement that epitomizes our collective pursuit of empowerment, inclusive development, and sustainable progress. In the spirit of mutual respect and solidarity, this declaration envisions a future where women's perspectives shape BRICS policies and economic processes. It underscores the pivotal role of women as architects of society, creators of prosperity, and custodians of culture. Within the core principles of this declaration lies the recognition of women as foundational pillars of society, central to our collective prosperity and culture. It is through their perspectives that we find a harmonious path forward, focusing on gender inequality, economic gains, political economy, inclusive economies, women's empowerment, economic opportunities, women's health, digital inclusion, cooperation, and knowledge exchange. This declaration charts a comprehensive course towards gender equality and true empowerment. As we mark this milestone, let us embrace the BRICS Women Development eThekwini Declaration as both an inspiration and a roadmap for transformation. This declaration radiates hope and determination for an inclusive future where women lead the charge in shaping the economic landscape of our nations and the entire BRICS community. I thank you.
Thank you so, so much. What's really apparent and quite clear is that whilst there's women out there, we do see that there are gaps in terms of gender equity, and we acknowledge this. But we also need to really give credence to the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. There's so much that has been done, so many inroads that have been gained within the last period, which can only be amplified for a collective such as this. So thank you very much for that. Our next speaker really needs no introduction. She calls us queens, but she herself is a queen of queens. She's a queen of queens. In fact, she should wear this crown. I call her the trailblazer. Sputnik. She's quick. She's witty. She's like a boxer. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the one and only, the Global Chair for the BRICS Women's Business Alliance, my sister, Lebogang Zulu.
start by honoring the biggest queen in this room. You know, each time I look at you, Mama, I find myself wondering, and I know you say I speak too much of you, but Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma is a stalwart. She's a queen that's been leading us for as long as I've been born, actually. We've been looking after her. We honor you, Mama. I will keep saying that in front of any stage. I wish to honor and recognize another queen who's not too older than me, but she is a brilliant queen, our Honorable Premier. The Mayor of eThekwini Municipality, Councillor Mxolisi Kawunda in absentia. The Director General of the Office of the Premier, Dr. Nonhlanhla Mkhize. The Director General in the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Advocate Mikateko. There's another queen. There's another queen that's been supporting us from day one of BRICS WBA South Africa's existence. I wish to acknowledge in absentia the chairperson of Brazil, Dr. Graziella Parenti. Again, acknowledge in absentia the chairperson of Russia, Madame Anna Nesterova, my dear sister. She will be joining us a little later. Her flight just got delayed. I wish to acknowledge in absentia another queen, Dr. Sangita Reddy, my dear sister, who, if it were for her, she certainly will be in this room. But not only has she given us another queen, my dear sister, Sudan, she's given us the FISI, the president of FISI Women Wing. So we are honored, and we thank Sangita for that. I wish to acknowledge another dear queen, Dr. Zhao Haiying, my dear sister, the chair of BRICS WBA China. All the National Executive Committee members, all the National Executive Committee members of BRICS WBA. That's love right there, Zhao. The chairs of the working groups and members of BRICS WBA. Our officials, government officials that are in this room, the MECs that are joining us today, entrepreneurs, business executives, colleagues joining from many African countries. I know Ghana is here, I know DRC is here, I know Lesotho is here, I know Zambia is here, and I know Zimbabwe is here. So we do have our sisters from different parts of the continent. I wish to also acknowledge our dear sisters from Saudi Arabia, led by my good friend, my brother Hussam. Thank you for bringing our queens from Saudi Arabia. Ladies and gentlemen, again, it is welcome to Africa. How do I begin to compete with such an introduction? My word, where do I start? But it feels like yesterday when my dear sister Haiying handed over the chairmanship of BRICS WBA to South Africa. I recall how it seemed like an impossible ask when we presented the strategy and work plan for 2023. It is with great pride and a sense of accomplishment that I stand before you today to reflect on the remarkable journey of BRICS WBA 2023. Our collective vision to create impact has indeed translated into a series of inspirational initiatives that have fostered connectivity, collaboration, and real change among the enterprising women across the BRICS nations. This year has been marked by numerous significant milestones, each of which has contributed to WBA's overarching goal of empowering women in business, nurturing entrepreneurial spirit, and cultivating future leaders. Defining us as WBA is a clear objective of advancing women in economic processes of the BRICS countries. We are not a geopolitical structure, nor a social structure. Ours is an economic cooperation structure. We do, however, acknowledge the importance of building stronger bonds between our governments and the women business community in advancing what we today call female equity. And it is female equity in economic spaces. The activities for the year have borne tangible economic results stemming from the people-to-people interactions we've had throughout the year. It has been a very, very busy year, I do acknowledge, but the results will make all of us smile. So as I reflect on the topic I've been assigned this morning, from vision to impact, I wish to remind all of us of the strategy we adopted as members of BRICS WBA at the handover session of 6th of February. It was an export-oriented and investment-led economic growth agenda with women entrepreneurs and MSMEs right at the center. We did say at the time that developing a strategy is one thing, but executing on the strategy is another. And at that particular point, we took a clear decision that we will execute our work plan via scoping missions. And I can recall my dear friend Jean, Jean, asking me on a very long international call, what is a scoping mission, Zulu? And that scoping mission today has borne significant results. So thank you for that long telephone call, Jean. We defined focus areas at the time when we were handing over, or when we were taking over South Africa, that ours will be to focus this year on trade, investment, capacity building, and technology transfer partnerships. We had said the culmination of our 2023 journey will be marked by this very conference. It's such a beautiful thing to see a room this full. The results of this journey is nothing short of inspirational. I wish to highlight some of the people-to-people and scoping mission activities that has landed us to this very day. A day where we will witness 48 billion rand worth of economic cooperation between BRICS member states, with at least 120,000 new jobs created for South Africa, all led by women. Number one, I did say 48 billion rand. We do take pride in our currency, just saying. So number one, when we started this journey of people-to-people interaction, we hosted what we call BRICS Women Business Indaba, that was held with the women entrepreneurs in this very province, executed, of course, in partnership with the Office of the Premier and the Moses Kotane Institute. We then executed exactly the same indaba with the women in the Eastern Cape, supported by our sisters of NAFCO, Women Chamber. I think my dear sister Twalita Zikuta is here. Now, these sessions have enabled us as women entrepreneurs in South Africa to define the economic agenda, organize and gear ourselves up for an economic journey that will leave a lasting legacy. Many of you in this room prepared and submitted detailed information sheets about your companies and or projects, some of which have found expression with partners in the BRICS member states. Today we will witness the signing of those partnerships, and to those of you who are not signing today, I wish to say to all of you, do not despair. BRICS WBA vision extends beyond events. As part of the people-to-people interaction, they were fostering inclusive economic growth through collaboration and networking. I wish to highlight the BRICS Women Leadership Forum that was hosted by our Chinese colleagues. The forum further extended to the first ever B2B missions that have not only created a platform for the winners of the BRICS Women Innovation Contest of 2021 and 2022 to connect, collaborate, and contract. Today, we are proud to say as WBA that following that, those B2B sessions, specific deals were signed during the very same B2B sessions between our sisters in Russia and our sisters in China. That is power of collaborating with a purpose. At the 2023 St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, WBA held a panel session led by my dear sister Anna. This was BRICS, it was titled BRICS on the Verge of Change. A session which explored prospects for BRICS expansion, business cooperation, and women's role in the development agenda. This discussion highlighted the readiness of BRICS nations to collaborate, fostering cross-border partnerships and embracing innovations. Today, we will witness yet another significant partnership that stemmed from that particular visit, people-to-people interaction and the power that goes with it. Just recently, we supported our dear sisters in India during the G20 Empower Summit, which was held under the theme, and I totally support and love this theme, One Earth, One Family, One Future. The G20 Empower Queens emphasized that women-led development should be at the center of advancing gender equality for equity. It wasn't all talk. Significant initiatives were launched, such as the Tech Equity, mentorship programs, mentorship platform, and the new Empower website. These are critical platforms which recognize that many women are left behind due to lack of access to economic networks and of course, the necessary guidance and support. Again, this evening, we will witness other significant partnerships stemming from the people-to-people interaction with our India colleagues. The partnerships being signed, they'll be signed this evening, will bear testament to the true value of the impact of women-led development in advancing our nation's economic growth. As we set our sights on the horizon, I wish to urge each and every one of us, especially the women business community, to seize the opportunities that lie ahead and continue our steadfast efforts to unlock the immense potential of women entrepreneurs across BRICS and Africa. In closing, I wish to remind all of us, the women in particular, of a quote by our beloved Queen, Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela. I open quote, "The overwhelming majority of women accept patriarchy unquestionably and even protect it, working out the resultant frustrations, not against men, but against themselves in their competition for men as sons, lovers, and husbands. Traditionally, the violated wife bides her time and offloads her built-in aggression on her daughter-in-law. So men dominate women through the agency of women themselves," close quote. The journey ahead, ladies, will not be an easy one, but be reminded that it took an ant to kill an elephant. If we are the ants as women, then the elephant ahead of us is inclusive and prosperous global economy. It starts with all of us. It will take all our combined efforts to transform
eThekwini, Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda. I'm sure he has now arrived. The Minister of the Department of Women, Youth, People with Disabilities, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, our leader. Premier of the Province of KwaZulu-Natal, Ms. Nomusa Dube-Ncube. The Queens who are here. Let me acknowledge the Queen of Emateni, Kwanongoma, and other queens who are here. Amakhosi, our traditional leaders, Bondabezita Sinbonile. The speakers that are scheduled to address the conference, our distinguished guests from different parts of the globe, the chairperson, Ms. Zulu, who has just spoken here, invited guests and entrepreneurs from KZN, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Sanbonani, Dumelang, good morning, Habari, Jambu, Africa. I rise on behalf of our leader of government business, who is also the MEC for Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Mr. Sboniso Duma, who could not make it to this august gathering. He was looking forward to this gathering, but could not make it due to other pressing commitments, so he has humbly apologized. Program Director, first and foremost, the leader of government business is respectfully extending a warm hand of partnership to delegates from the BRICS bloc and from the African nations. We have been informed that there are more than 500 women-owned businesses from Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Rwanda, Zambia, DRC, Egypt, Ghana, Tanzania, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, and Lesotho. You are most welcome, our beautiful sisters. The leader of government business is hopeful that the conference will be a catalyst for partnerships between KZN in particular, or KZN-based women-owned businesses in the hospitality industry and those from other countries that I've just mentioned. Tourism and hospitality industry in general presents many opportunities for partnerships to accelerate socio-economic growth for mutual benefits. As delegates arrived at the King Shaka International Airport, and when they checked in at their hotels, you might have noticed that you were welcomed by young, very energetic and professional tourism ambassadors. The more than 15 young people have been employed by our entity, which is referred to as Tourism KwaZulu-Natal, to ensure that as visitors or tourists, you conveniently obtain information about the province of KwaZulu-Natal and that you are given support to ensure that you really feel welcomed. Ladies and gentlemen, market research tells us that apart from the scenic beauty of our country, natural endowments, a beautiful weather, and may I add that no province boasts better weather throughout the year than KwaZulu-Natal, and much more. Various visitors rate highly the warmth and hospitality of South Africans. And despite our challenges, we still define our values in human solidarity, care, and Ubuntu. In a book titled The Long Walk to Freedom, our founding president of this democratic South Africa, Dr. Nelson Mandela, makes an important point about what distinguishes us as South Africans. Madiba writes, and I quote, "My country is rich in minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its great wealth is its people. Finer and truer than the purest diamonds, I close quotes. One is almost reminded of a prolific author from Durban who died in New York in the 60s, Nat Nakasa, who celebrated our multiculturalism and rainbowism long before Archbishop Desmond Tutu late, and may his soul rest in peace, called us to do. As the height of apartheid, Nat Nakasa said, and I quote, "My people are South Africans. Mine is the history of the Great Trek, Gandhi's passive resistance in Johannesburg, the wars of Cetshwayo, and the dawn raids, which gave us the treason trials of 1956. All these are South African things. They are part of me," close quotes. Program Director, we believe that the BRICS Women Business Alliance Trade Conference should be about the fight for economic freedom for the benefit of women as nation builders. It should be about reawakening the spirit of sisterhood and strengthening the solidarity amongst women, and to remind women in business that your fate is bound together. Your fate is bound together. And as women, you have the opportunity to recharge and define your next steps in the fight for the economic liberation of women, irrespective of which part of the globe they may be. You need to remind each other of the struggle that lies ahead and the challenges that we have to overcome before we can attain full equality for all. You have the opportunity to look at the strengths that you must utilize to advance yourselves and the weaknesses that you must correct in order to advance the African child and also a global child. It is important to remind one another that our struggle is not over. Despite the political freedom that we have attained, including the right to vote and participate in all institutions of governance in the land, the African people as a group still suffer from extreme poverty, die from preventable diseases, have lower life expectancy irrespective of the wealth in the country they occupy, tend to be illiterate or less educated, tend to get sucked into crime, drug abuse, teenage pregnancies, and be unemployed. This is so despite the African continent remaining amongst the richest countries in natural resources, such as oil and precious minerals, gold, diamond, platinum, copper, iron ore, and so forth and so forth. Most of the resources remain untapped or are exploited by richer nations in the East and West. The level of underdevelopment has resulted in the economies of the top two countries, that is Nigeria and South Africa, being responsible for about 51% of the GDP of the continent. Africa lacks the capital and technical skills to add value in the primary products they produce, and resulting in their export and low prices to be imported back to Africa at unaffordable prices, and that must stop. We must therefore come together on a regular basis to discuss ways of breaking down the colonial trade lines and ensure that as Africans we begin to trade amongst ourselves. We need to focus on producing up to 70% of goods for consumption in the continent of almost 1 billion people, and thereafter focus on exports. It is encouraging that this trend is beginning to grow, and it must involve rapid development of digital infrastructure, rail and road transportation, and logistics, instead of communication via a European capital of colonial times. You must work together to focus on ensuring improvement on services to the people, provision of water, sanitation, roads, electrification, and other infrastructure, which will be part of growing the economy to enable the creation of jobs and also to eradicate poverty. Revival and strengthening of agriculture must be intensified in order to ensure that starvation no longer claims so many lives. And the provision of education and skills must be accelerated in order to enable African people to also contribute in the building of the economy and live sustainable lives. And according to BRICS exchange programs and twinning of cities, honorable guests, as part of ensuring solidarity, we need to encourage twinning of cities, provinces, and academic institutions, and partnership amongst the business fraternity in the BRICS countries and the continent. The academia need to host regular conferences in order to share ideas and exchange academic staff and students and help to create an African identity of academic excellence across the boundaries. Sports and cultural exchanges must be used to strengthen the people-to-people relations and work strongly to ensure economic integration. Honorable guests, there is so much that one can say about this august gathering today, but we wish to extend our warmest welcome to all of you, and we hope that you will definitely enjoy our hospitality. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC Peggy Nkonyeni. What I loved about your speech was that you really gave us a reality check in terms of the fact that the struggle is not over. But very important, I loved it when you said, your fate is bound together. Your fate is bound together. Just really reiterating the importance of women working as a collective, but also working with the men on the table. And the other point that I loved was the fact that you also reiterated the fact that we should leverage on our strengths. We should recognize that no matter how dire the situation may seem in Africa, we also have gems. We are the seed. So next on the agenda, we'll have Ms. Sheila Motsepe. Ms. Sheila Motsepe is the head of human capital from the Development Bank of Southern Africa, a very key partner for the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. Let's welcome Ms. Sheila Motsepe.
Thank you. Good morning to you all, and all protocol observed. Today I'm representing the DBSA, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, for most of you, as you know, based in Midrand, Johannesburg. We have been asked to do two things at today's forum. The first one in the morning, to provide words of support, and the second part in the evening, to talk a little bit about what the DBSA does. We have interpreted that, the ask for us to give words of support, to say, would you be so kind as to come out globally in a forum with all dignitaries, local and international, and pledge and state what your commitment is. Having looked at all the BRICS WBA documentation, starting from the report after June 2020, from the forum from the meeting in Russia, it's quite evident that the ask or the demand or what the BRICS WBA wishes to do in the lives of women is quite extensive. So if you look at the demand, the script, what is it that the BRICS WBA would like to achieve, it is vast, and it touches women's lives in very many areas of their lives. Having looked at their report, there are issues related to business. Again, also if you look at the business networks, there are issues from SMME, from the small, micro, and medium-sized enterprises, right through to large enterprises, to issues of health, to issues of advancements in technology. So the brief is quite wide. As my predecessor has said, as the MEC has said, we all acknowledge that the challenges continue in this sphere. But having done that, we also acknowledge that there have been some achievements, albeit not enough. So we know that there are some things that we've been good at and that we have achieved, but that more work needs to be done. The presence of over 500 women in this room who lead businesses, who are in decision-making structures in the public sector, in the private sectors, in businesses, regardless of the size of the enterprise, shows that in some indices which are important to you, traction has been made. Coming to today's forum, the Africa Trade Conference, it has been indicated very clear that one of the objectives is to ensure that we walk away having established and cemented some business-to-business relationships. Ending with what I was asked, what are you from the DBSA pledging? This is how I can respond for now, for in this morning. We will continue to support in the areas and the sectors that the DBSA is focused on. As all of you know, the DBSA prioritizes infrastructure development in energy, in ICT, water and sanitation, education, housing, health, and local government. I get an opportunity later on this evening to basically share a little bit of what the DBSA has done, and I'm hoping that some of the statistics I will share, Lebogang specifically as a woman in construction will be very happy to take note of. For BRICS WBA, the DBSA continues to cooperate with the local South Africa chapter. We can also support in the capacity building initiatives that the BRICS WBA has started on. Going through your documentation, it looks to be a perennial theme that comes through over and above the others. But in the sectors, in what the work has been done, there are very many areas that continue to present opportunities for the DBSA and the BRICS WBA to work on. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, dear Ms. Sheila Motsepe. You know, partnerships such as those with the DBSA play a very crucial role in terms of unleashing the potential of women-led businesses. So thank you for that. Next, we're going to be watching a video. A video message from Ms. Busi Mabuza, who is the chairperson of the BRICS Business Council in South Africa. Are we playing the video? Anybody from technical? Our apologies for the pause. It's the video from Ms. Busi Mabuza, who's the chairperson from the BRICS Business Council South Africa. We'll move on to the next item. Apologies. So we'll move on. Apologies for that. We'll move on to the next item on the program in the interest of time. And we'll play the video later on when we have another opportunity. I'm sure whether you're in South Africa or anywhere in the globe, and you see BRICS activities, you will notice that this province has been, the KZN province, has been a hive of activity. And here we are today. We've been here several times for BRICS Women's Business Alliance events, as well as other BRICS events. So KZN is trending. And that can only be, yes, and that can only be through formidable or through the influence of the KZN leadership. So it makes me absolutely proud to introduce this Mbogodo. This Mbogodo, Insika. Can someone ululate? The formidable Miss Nomusa Dube-Ncube, who is the first female Premier KwaZulu-Natal province. Sithi halala.
Thank you very much. You may take her seats, please. Thank you very much, Program Director, Dr. Ele, Ford Mtetwa. I do wish to acknowledge my leadership, the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, and the Presidency, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. I acknowledge the BRICS 2023 Global Chairperson, so nice to say that, Ms. Lebohang, Mrs. Zulu, the MEC for Finance, MEC Nkonyeni, Consul General's Office, represented by Mr. Lee. I also wish to acknowledge Inkosi bakithi balapha KwaZulu. Khona Inkosi Ushinga, the chairperson of the Provincial House of Traditional Leadership and Khoisan Leaders, Inkosi Ushinga, and the deputy chairperson of the House, Inkosi Sithole, ondlunkulu abakhona bonke lapha kulo msebenzi obaluleke kangaka. Sibingelela as well ondlunkulu, the Queens base Saudi Arabia, and all mayors and deputy mayors that are present, the delegations that are with us here today, particularly the executive board members of BRICS Women Business Alliance, delegation led by Russia, led by the chairperson, Anna Nestorova, delegation led by India, led by Mrs. Sudha Shivkumar. We are in KZN, so we know these things. I also wish to acknowledge the delegation led by China, Chairperson Dr. Zhao Haiying, as well as the Director General of KwaZulu-Natal.